All right, we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar. I know that we always will take a few seconds for people to actually join us, so I'll just start my intro for the people that are coming on. But thank you so much for tuning in to learn more about technology for hospitality. And today we'll be giving you a full overview of how and why building a tech stack can give you a competitive edge. And obviously, we also want to recognize that it is a bit of a crazy time for hospitality this last 18 months or so. And so if you're joining us from an area that is in lockdown, we totally feel for you, and we hope for some good news in the weeks and months to come. But please, while I'm waiting for everyone to tune in, if you could pop in the chat area, maybe what state you're joining us from and whether you can hear us all right. That's always good, because I've heard too many stories of webinars where people have started presenting without actually being able to be heard. So that's never a good thing. But yeah, while you're doing that, let me just introduce the two speakers that we have today. So I already see some activity in the chat area. People are joining us from New South Wales, and the audio is good. Phew. Happy to hear. And we've got Victorians and people from Adelaide, so great. So yeah, we're joined today by I don't know if everyone sees that in the same way, but on this side of me, we've got Aly Garrett, winner of Excellence Awards and Partner of the Year at the Australian Accounting Awards, founder of All In Advisory in Adelaide, host of Ali and Andrew's All Aussie Accounting Adventures podcast, and if I may add, queen of Australian accounting and bookkeeping Twitter. So welcome, Ali.
Thanks, Stijn. Good to be here.
Yeah. Oh, see, we've even got people from overseas, which is great, from PNG. So great. On the other side of me, wait, I have to see because it's mirrored. This is really hard, actually. This is like our Q test. We have John Arrigo with us. He's the National Customer Relations at Microkeeper. He's a cyclist, an adventurer, a dad, an award winner in his own right, actually, but that might be a story for another time. So welcome, John, as well.
Thanks so much, Stijn. I appreciate being here. And hey, everyone. Hope you're all well.
Perfect. So I'll hand over to these guys soon. And just quickly, I'm going to let you guys know what we'll be talking about today. So we've got these two people here. What you can expect from us today is, first we'll go and dive a little bit into what Microkeeper is. We'll give you a very, very brief overview. Then we'll hand over to Ali to talk about the ideal hospitality tech stack. And then John will speak to us about how Microkeeper actually streamlines hospitality. And then we've got the Q&A session at the end. So with the questions, if you've got any questions throughout the session, please feel free to pop them in the chat area and I will write them down. I'll jot them down and I'll bring them to these guys at the very end of our webinar. So lastly, we'll make some time for that. So without further ado, I just want to quickly bring up a little poll. I'm going to see if I can do that. And it's to ask people quickly, how do you describe your current tech stack? So if you go in polls, you will have the option there to describe basically, do you have technology in place? Do you not? Do you want to expand on it? Do you want to actually streamline it more? Do you want to get rid of some technology? Because some people have maybe an overload of technology and they want to be a little bit more streamlined. We'll have some questions, some answers already rolling in there. It's a bit of a breakdown at the moment between people who have tech in place but are looking at adding or changing options, and people who have little to no tech in place, and people who are happy with their current tech stack. So that's awesome. So that gives us a bit of an idea of what place you guys are starting from. So that's always good. But without further ado, I'm going to hand over to John. John, I'll start with a quick challenge for you, is to describe what Microkeeper does in about 2 or 3 minutes.
Thanks, Stijn. Yeah. So, guys, what Microkeeper is it's a total end-to-end, what we'd call employee management suite, encompassing, your core HR, your rostering, your time and attendance, and your payroll, and obviously any of the compliance stuff around the end of payroll, STP, super clearing, etc. The big difference with our system is that it is an all-in-one. So unlike some of the other systems on the market where you do require, you might have a timesheets and rostering system, then you push that data through to payroll, have it in a separate system, and away you go. Ours links all of those elements together, and there's no requirement for any other system. So basically from Microkeeper, it can go straight into the accounting system to obviously either journal or, if you like, payroll invoice the total amount paid in wages and super and tax, etc. But I will dive into this in further detail later on in the presentation and explain, how all of these elements are linked together, and obviously the benefits, pros and cons of having a system with them all together in the one place.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, John. And definitely something that we will go into in a bit more detail later. And then I'm going to hand over to Aly. Aly, you're going to talk to us a little bit today about technology and hospitality. And I'll turn off my mic and my phone and my camera so we can completely focus on you.
Oh, beautiful. That's what I love. All the focus being on me. All right. So hello and welcome, everybody. Thanks so much for jumping on the webinar today. And I truly do hope that you're getting some information that will be useful to you. If I don't cover anything that you want me to, then I'm more than happy to take some Q&A at the end, or you can make contact with me. My contact details are up on the screen, and they will be shown at the end. Also, feel free to connect with me on the socials as well, because I'm a bit of a social fan. So today I'm going to be looking at the future, or should I say the present. And it's where we are on our tech journey. I'm going to be looking at why it's important that we start on our tech journeys. And I always start with the why in everything I ever do. I think it helps us to engage a bit more. We're also then going to look at what the tech journey might look like and is going to look like, and what I think the future of tech in the hospitality industry might look like. Also a bit of stargazing there. So first of all, I want to note that change isn't coming, it is actually already here. The digital disruption in the hospitality industry has occurred and is still occurring. So it might be new to you, but I've been doing hospitality tech stacks since about 2010. So that's 11 years now. So this isn't actually what I would call new technology, but the technology is getting better and the way that we use it is also improving. Some of the things that I hear a lot about tech stacks and people moving to their tech stacks is that they struggle with time. And one of the most common things I hear about why they wouldn't want to go on the journey is because they've always done it that way. And this is a wonderful quote from Admiral Grace Hopper, where she said, the most dangerous phrase in the language is we've always done it this way. Why is it dangerous? Well, if you can have a look here at some of the people I've highlighted, rest in peace, Blockbuster and Kodak. They had digital disruption in their industries. Now, they might have seen it, but they have chosen to ignore it, or thought that they were bigger than it, or thought that it was a fad and it might go away. But the reality is technology and our tech journey isn't going away. It is here to stay. So instead of fearing it, we should see it as an opportunity. One of the wonderful things that happened during COVID was one of these phrases came up, and I'm just going to show you a quick clip, if I can. Oh.
Pivot! 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 Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
We are now all very familiar with the term pivot. And what does that actually mean? It means that sometimes things get thrown at us and that we may need to reimagine, redirect, do something different, change. Why have we had to pivot so recently? Well, there's a few reasons. What's driving this tech change? Technology, absolutely. There have been rapid advancements in technology over the last 20, 30, 40 years, and it's becoming more rapid. Technology has certainly disrupted the hospitality industry. The consumer, or should I say the fickle consumer behaviours have changed. They absolutely love the tech, but they also aren't as loyal as what they used to be. And COVID, we can't deny it. With the government regulations and shutdowns, it has absolutely changed the industry as we know it. And so these uncertain times mean that it's driving change. So I want to take us on a tech journey. I want you to now think about where you might be on this tech journey and where you might want to be on this tech journey. So we start with the humble paper and pen. In a hospitality business, people used to write down their orders, give it to the kitchen, and off we roll. And I still see people using paper and pen, and I'm sure some of you have seen that as well. Bring in the 1950s and 60s, and my trusty friend, the calculator, actually was invented, and that would have been absolutely revolutionary. It would have helped people to calculate the correct amount that people needed to pay and for the amount that they needed to get in change, for instance. And it would have fixed some of those accuracy issues and mistakes that humans make. Very soon after, the cash register was invented, a wonderful invention for the hospitality industry, and I still see a lot of those cash registers out and about. We then get into the closer portion of our tech journey, but it actually has been really rapid advancement. In the 1980s and onwards, we had this invention of desktop computers and internet, which was wonderful because it helped us with rostering on spreadsheets and helping to do our book work through using some form of technology. But we were kind of locked to the office or to wherever this particular computer was sitting. Bring on the 2000s and we moved into the cloud, and this is where we got that instant access anywhere, anytime, which allowed us to kind of free ourselves from that kitchen sink or the office. We then really rapidly, within 7 years, moved to this technology around iPhones, iPads, and the way that we use technology privately changed so dramatically. But what I saw was people took it up personally, but they didn't take it up for their businesses, but some people have. And then we enter into 2010, which is where I started to get on this old tech journey, where we now have things called tech stacks, which involve automation and integration. And that's really what I want to run through with you today, so that one, you can understand it, and two, you can try and look at what it is that you want to do for your business. Do you know there have been lots of surveys that have been conducted around technology, and that customers actually trust those that utilize technology 44% more than others, and that was through a CBA technology blog. There are also lots of reports where people and businesses that are using technology are hiring more, they're getting increased sales. There's a great Deloitte Access Economics report that basically backs all of that data up. So I want to kind of go a little bit into the cloud. What exactly is the cloud? Because I've talked about it a little bit today. The cloud is a bit of magic, I guess, but it's basically the next evolution of the internet. It's where you can store data. And so instead of storing on a local desktop computer, we're pushing it up so that we can access it anywhere, anytime. And that really is all we're trying to do here. We're trying to pull your business and its back end work up into the cloud so you can access it anywhere, anytime, and real time. So a tech stack is kind of like an iPhone. If your business doesn't have a tech stack, I would say you've got a landline fixed to a wall. If you are using a tech stack, it's like an iPhone. And the way that I see it is this: an iPhone in its own right, you can take phone calls, get emails, you can do some messages and get the internet. The power is in the apps that you download onto your phone to then customize it to what you need it for. It gives you productivity gains, entertainment, it gives you accessibility, it gives you movement and flow. A tech stack for your business is exactly the same thing. We need to find the basic foundational product, and then we download apps to that so that it makes it a powerful tool for you to use. And it really does improve productivity. So I said to you that I was going to give you a best practice hospitality tech stack for free today. And this is actually it. I do want to cover off on a few things though before I go through it in greater detail. One is that none of these people provide me any commissions or kickbacks. I have been on this journey since 2010 and I have seen an enormous amount of tech, and I choose what I find is best practice and what works for my clients. I've taken hundreds of clients to the cloud and not one of them has asked to go backwards. So I know that this is something that can actually deliver real value to your business. So where do we start on our tech stack journey? The first part is to find a basic cloud accounting product. Now that could be Xero. Now I am Xero True Blue, so I usually sprout that one, but there is MyOb, QuickBooks Online, whatever it is, it needs to be a cloud-based product. What Xero does is it does beautiful accounting. So you can get bank feeds to it. You can also automate bank rules, but it is a foundational product that you can use. So once you've got your business on Xero, you can then look at the apps that you can connect to that. One of those is Counter. Now, there are lots of products on the market, H&L, Blue Eyes, Redcat, there are millions of point of sale products. In a hospitality industry, this is most probably one of your most critical components. It's really important to get it right. So the things that you need to look for is that it needs to be cloud-based and it needs to be easy to use and it needs to be able to talk to Xero. So when I talk about a tech stack, each of these particular products need to be able to connect to each other. So if you process something in your point of sale system, it's going to feed into the Xero system, which eliminates human error. It eliminates the need for you to reprocess data. Counter is a fantastic product. I've used that in a lot of hospitality businesses, but as I said, there are others. So there's no need to pick that particular one. And it's really up to you or an advisor that you use to pick the best product for you. But I can tell you, if you use Counter, it works. The next one is Dext or Receipt Bank. Another product is HubDoc, for instance. So what Dext does is it takes an optical image of any receipts or purchases within your business. The automatic benefit is that you don't need to keep paper anymore and you have an electronic file. You can also then share that with your accountant, bookkeeper, etc., because they have a shared access to your Xero file. So you're not having to collate information, send it in a different format. The other thing that this product does is it takes an optical image of all of the necessary data, like invoice number, date, amount, what it's for, etc. And it tries to allocate that through some artificial intelligence to the correct account code. It's trying to eliminate the need for you to process all of that data. Once that data is in and the optical image is there, it gets then shared to Xero. So what should happen at this point in time is you've got your sales in Xero from your point of sale system. Then you've got all of your purchases in Xero from your Dext system. Then you can reconcile your bank really easily because you've got your sales and purchase data already in there and that bank feed has been fed through automatically for you. So I'm hoping you can already see the benefits of what we call this tech stack and how it can work for you. So what about the hero piece here? Well, it's Microkeeper. We know that in hospitality, HR and payroll is high risk. George Calombaris, anybody? I don't think I need to say that twice. It's so important to get your HR and your payroll right. One, to get the right people, to keep them, and to pay them. It can be such an emotive issue. And I know that John is going to work through a lot of the intricacies of Microkeeper and the benefits of that a bit later, so I'm not going to go into it too much. But you can eliminate your spreadsheets of your rosters. You can ensure that all of the time is being recorded correctly and that you're paying correctly. So, so important. And as I said, there are lots of different products available on the market, but I found these to be really good. And I want to give you an example of how good a good tech stack can be. I worked with a hotel group that had 5 pubs in it. And each of those pubs, they used MyOb, they used a point of sale Blue Eyes, they used a HR system that wasn't integrated, and they also used spreadsheets. They had a bookkeeper in each of their pubs doing the bookkeeping at a cost of around 40 to 60K per pop, which is a pretty typical size. We were able to move them from a desktop MIBE environment up to a cloud Xero environment. We then integrated their Blue Eyes point of sale. We put in Dext. We put in a HR system, and we also put in a management reporting tool. They now have half a person in head office doing their bookkeeping, and they redirected the use of those funds to a CFO for strategy to build that hotel group, and they've already put on 2 new pubs because of that. The power of the technology and seeing it as opportunity is incredibly powerful. So what are the must-haves when you're building a tech stack? The first one, and I guess I want to highlight this, is I think tech is the easy bit. I think the change management is the most difficult part, bringing people on the journey with you, training your staff, training yourself. So once you are okay that there is going to be a bit of change, the types of things that you want to look at is, can the products that you're using be automated? Because I believe anything that can be automated should be automated. And that means anything that is a rote task, anything that is repetitive, anything that is a process should be able to be automated through tech. And I'll give you an example. In Xero, you have bank feeds. That means that you don't need to import, you don't need to export from your online banking and import into your accounting file. It happens automatically. With things like direct debits, with things like bank rules or bank fees, you can create rules at the back of that to tell the system every single time it sees it, oh, hey, this is a bank rule. This is what you did with it last time. That's what I mean by automation, utilizing the artificial intelligence within these products to automate all that you can. I have a bit of a saying, and it goes like this. You need to be able to eliminate, delegate, automate, and do. So with anything that you're going to be doing in your business, are there things that you shouldn't be doing? Eliminate them. Are there things that you can automate? Automate them. Are there things that you shouldn't be doing and somebody else should? Delegate them, and just then make sure they're being done. If you do those things, you can actually increase and improve productivity exponentially. So once you've got your automation right, then we talk about integration. Integration just means that we're linking the tools that we're using or the software that we're using together so that they talk to each other, so that you're not having to reprocess data 2, 3, 4 times. What that does, though, is improve the accuracy of the data. We then need to re-engineer the processes. You can't stick the old processes into new tech. It doesn't work. To find the best efficiencies, you actually need to look at what the outcome is that you want, the tech that you're going to put in place, and then re-engineer the processes to make sure that it's streamlined. And once you've done that, train, retrain, train again, train. Why? Because people struggle with change management the most. So training, education, help from these software suppliers is really critical to make sure that your tech stack works really, really well. So what are the benefits? Well, I've already kind of touched on them, but let's go into it a little bit deeper. Real-time information, because it's cloud-based. That means that you can actually get real-time information on where your business is at each and every single day, week, month, year, not historical. It is real-time. That means you can actually start to make better decisions in your business. And that actually has a really big impact. You are a low margin, high volume industry. It is really important that you're making decisions quickly and the right ones. It's efficient because you're not processing data 2 or 3 times. It improves accuracy once again because you're not inputting data 2 or 3 times. And you know, another thing that I think, and I didn't put it on the tech stack slide, is that your payment terminals, if you can get those talking to your point of sale system, so your people aren't having to key in the numbers to the payment terminal, like say for instance, Counter integrates with the CBA Albert payment terminal, it means that it's reducing human error and improves accuracy. And the other thing that a good tech stack does is it reduces cost. You go to a low monthly subscription, you pay for only what you need, and it does reduce the hardware costs. So I think they're pretty good benefits. So where do I think the future lies? It's in artificial intelligence. It's becoming quicker, better, the amount of data that's coming out, the amount of process capabilities that are actually now available, and there is rapid adoption of artificial intelligence. We use it in our everyday lives, just like we use the cloud in our everyday lives. If you're thinking about social media, online banking, emails, everything is online and in the cloud. So what are the types of artificial intelligence that I think hospitality businesses might be able to look at to get some opportunities from? One of them is virtual reality. And what do I mean by that? What if somebody could virtually go to your premises and have an experience virtually that made them want to come to your business? Maybe that's something that you can look at. Is it the amount of data, the big data that's now available? If you have a really good customer relationship management system, maybe you can mine that data, find out who your loyal customers are, treat them well. And I know this is something that we all want to do, but the data and the capability is now there to do it. Is it that we're going to be using artificial intelligence and automation more so that we're automating everything that we possibly can, i.e. through your tech stack? Or is it cryptocurrency? Would you accept cryptocurrency from a supplier or from a customer? Possibly. It's endless, the opportunities that are available. But what I do want to highlight here is that you should see it as an opportunity and not fear it. Use it to your advantage. Look at what is happening in your industry. What are your competitors doing? How are they doing things differently? Because I can assure you, if they've got a really good tech stack, they've got real-time data that they can make great decisions on, and their back end is more efficient, which means they're getting more margin, which is exactly what I want to be able to deliver to you. So, like a good Pantene commercial, this isn't going to happen overnight, but I can absolutely promise you it will happen. But what you do need to do is prioritize your time, make it something that is really important, and take the first steps forward in your tech journey. And might I say here, I've always been jealous of Rachel Hunter's hair. Gosh, I wish I had that. So from my team to yours, thank you so much for listening. I really do hope that you've got some value from that. And I'm sticking around. So if you've got any questions, let me know.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that, Aly. And that was very valuable and great insights that you gave us all. And yeah, indeed, if people do have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat and we can come back to them later. I am going to start handing over to John now. There's a few things that you mentioned, I think, Aly, that really tie in very well with what Microkeeper does and what and how we approach technology and automation and at a low cost. That is really something that we stand for. And I'll let John talk a little bit about that and how we do that and how we automate things and how we streamline businesses in hospitality in particular. So John, without further ado, I will hand over to you.
Thanks so much, and amazing, Aly. That was it was music to my ears. A lot of the things that you were saying, and so true, and things that definitely we here as well. You might go into a business and have a chat to someone, and they're starting their journey of automation and streamlining, and it's what's the next thing and what should I put here and what should I put there. So very valuable in saying that having systems that do connect and do talk to each other is definitely a very valuable message, and something that we 100% here at Microkeeper stand for. So guys, what I thought I'd like to do in this webinar is discuss how Microkeeper streamlines the process, but in essence, take you on what we call an employee journey. So when they first initially enter into the platform, to obviously all the way through their journey of rostering, time and attendance, HR, payroll, etc., all of the elements, and sort of what that looks like from our point of view. So let's have a think about it. When you hire or make the hire of your employee or new employee, some of the first things that we need to do is we may need to give them an employment contract. Now, obviously, in the hospitality space, we talk about things like you might need an RSA, a safe handling of food. You may have an induction into your kitchen. You might have a business code of conduct, things like that. Now, in a non-tech space, potentially that could have been paper-based. So you're handing that out to people and they're going to fill that out. Obviously, we then need that information, and certain things like, let's say it's an RSA, if we're hiring a bartender, we want it before they can actually start work. So what's the process there? Well, we've given it out, we need to follow up. So we've got our management team following up with that person. Do you have it yet? Are you, before I start rostering you on and getting you to start work? Obviously, once we've got it, then what do we do with it? Do we put it into a system? Do we potentially file it if it's a hard copy? But then I think it's the ongoing maintenance that you need to think about. So if it is something like an RSA, they have expiry dates and we need to follow up on that. So, having a good means to actually know that it is coming up, and rather than it just being stored in a filing cabinet, what do I need to do to actually alert me to illustrate to that staff member I need something new. The biggest thing with these processes is they're manual. There's room for error. There's potentially misinterpretation of data when you're re-entering it. And obviously it is an entire manual process. So moving to an automated system like Microkeeper, what can we do? Well, all we need for a staff member to actually start what we call self-onboarding is a username and a password. So we can send that out to them in what we call a welcome letter. So once they've got their username and password, and they'll receive that via either an SMS or an email, they can log into the platform and they can start that onboarding journey. So filling out all of those required documents, entering in, things that we need, which might be tax file numbers, banking details and so forth. And we eliminate the factor of looking at a piece of paper and saying, is that a funny shaped 8 or is it a 6 in their banking, and potentially getting it wrong. So the core HR also being a connected system obviously adds a lot of benefit. And, it all starts at the rostering point. So rostering in Microkeeper basically, automates a process that potentially could have maybe taken us, an hour, 2 hours or more in an old system. Now, what we see a lot of is businesses coming from a spreadsheet. So let's say using an Excel. And, it was funny, Aly sort of mentioned earlier on, it's kind of the old analogy of, if it's not broken, why would I think about fixing it? That's not the mentality to have. And, it's again, can it be better? Can we move forward? So with an Excel-based or spreadsheet-based roster, we need to look at things. We need to look at maybe who's available to work. So we might look at an availability calendar. We might need to consider things like, are they of the appropriate age? Do they have the appropriate certificates to work in that area? If we have multiple sites geographically, can they get there? And then obviously, we may need, how do we get that information? Well, we may have it in some means, or we get on the phone and we say, hey, can you do this? Can you do that? We send emails and we wait for responses. With a system like Microkeeper, this is all done in the background. So when you're starting a new roster from scratch and you're putting on people, it's going to give you who's available. So it checks things like, is this person on leave? Do they have the appropriate skill sets? Does it clash with their availability? And obviously the other one is, are they already rostered on, and can they work at that particular location? So we check all of those things in an instant and give you, let's say, out of your 20 staff members, the 5 that are available to do this particular shift. So by choosing the available, they are the people that can do the job, they are ready to go, and there's none of this back and forth. The other thing which is quite important is budgeting, especially in a hospitality space where you may know how many bookings you've got for a particular, it might be week or whatever it might be, and you know that I want to stay to a certain budget. I want to be at, let's say, 20% wage cost to revenue, so I can budget. And because, again, connected system, the payroll information overlays on that rostering so you can make those decisions and see them in real time. Obviously, all of this information is in the palm of someone's hand with their Microkeeper app, as well as obviously can sync to our calendar suites. So, all right, we've got our staff members into a system, and now it's all about getting them into work. So let's talk about an old system. What have we seen in the past? Well, we've seen people with the old punch cards. We've seen people with journals. There's many, many options that businesses can use and do use. Obviously, once the data has been entered in, it's where does that data go and where does that flow on take us? So what do we see as problems with a non-integrated manual solution? Well, there's a few things. The first thing is it can be left up to a bit of manipulation. So if I'm running 10 minutes late, I'll just write in 9 o'clock and no one's any the wiser. But the other thing is too, it's not checking against that HR, which I spoke about earlier on. So if I haven't updated my RSA, I can just, write in that I'm starting at 9 and, no one's any the wiser that I haven't actually produced the documentation required. But the other thing is from the back end side, from a manager. So what do they have to do? Well, they've got to go through timesheet by timesheet and they've got to check it all off. So if they need to make amendments, could be manual. Yeah, they might be doing it on a PC in an Excel or something like that. But it's that point of re-entry. They get information from somewhere and they're going to re-enter it somewhere else. So again, we've got room for error. Now, all of this stuff, yeah, okay, it is disconnected. It all takes time. And that time could be redirected into a space where we are much more productive and working like in our business rather than on it. So how can we change things? Well, with Microkeeper, we offer 7 methods of clocking. So whether that be facial recognition, fingerprint scan, near field communication, mobile app, console, or PC, there is many options there and variations of each option that we can obviously implement. Now, it's not a one size fits all. We can have multiple if we need, and you can obviously have staff doing different things if required. But basically, once a staff member has clocked their hours through the system, it has automatically gone straight into the timesheet area. Now, the timesheet area is a great area. Again, connecting systems, rostering and timesheets, let's overlay that information and let's see if a staff member is actually doing what we suspect or what they've asked them to do. We can make amendments, we can make changes, we can do approvals. This can all be done, guys, at the convenience of a mobile phone or on a PC like we are today. So again, streamlining that process, making sure there is no errors because we're not re-entering any information and it is exceptionally transparent. So for audit purposes, we can see who's done what, who's updated information and the like. So all of that time and attendance data is automatically in Microkeeper system, which is basically the payroll engine as well. So there's no transforming that information or transferring it. So let's go back again to a more primitive way of doing things. You've got that timesheet data, you have made sure that it's right, you've ticked it all off from a managerial point of view. Now the payroll officer collates it, whether that's scanning it and sending it if the payroll officer's off site, old school, faxing it maybe, or even just going there physically and collecting that time and attendance information could be another option. So what then happens? Well, a payroll officer reviews all of that information and they're going to convert time into money. So they're going to look at things like, what's the basic hours? Have they worked a Saturday? Have they worked an evening shift? Have they worked more than, let's say, 7.6 hours in a day? Whatever those parameters are around configuration of your award, they are doing that calculation and basically getting out of that what we'd like to refer to as payroll lines. So when you look at a payslip, this is the amount of basic hours, this is the amount of overtime, time and a half, double time, etc., and anything else that we may need to consider. And they're building off that a payslip. So, okay, we've got the information into our payroll system, we've created our payslips, and then sometimes, obviously, we've got an ABA pay file download, which is great. Alternatively, we may have to log into a bank and key it in all manually, potentially, and again, a room for error. Obviously, there's a flow on, so it's going through to STP, going through to super clearing, and again, it's logging into different systems to do this. What we aim to do is amalgamate that entire process in one system. So fully automatic payroll. So from a timesheet approval to doing payroll is literally the click of a button. We run through all of the preset award rules in the background that we've configured in conjunction with the business, and we build out all of the payrolls automatically. Payslips are then generated, ABA files are then generated as well, and single touch payroll is just a button click away from submission. Obviously, we then look at superannuation clearing, and again, at the time period, whether it's monthly or quarterly, you've simply got a one button processing of your superannuation. The other thing we also talk about from a Microkeeper point of view, and again, something that Aly spoke about, is then the final connection, which may be that connection through to our accounting system. So in a world of Xero, in a world of MyOb, in whatever that may be, and I'll talk about Xero in this example, it's then getting that payroll information, so the journal entry or the payroll invoice, and sending that seamlessly through to our accounting suite. And obviously with Microkeeper, each pay cycle, you can definitely do that at the click of a button. So all of that information is now transferred through and it's sitting in the accounting system ready to be reconciled against that final payment to all of your staff members. So as an overview, guys, that's sort of what we sort of see as the journey of a staff member. I guess I'll throw back to Stijn, but if you have any questions or concerns, we'd be more than happy to go through any of those. And obviously, if you're wanting a more personalised demonstration with a viewing of the actual system in its entirety, you're more than welcome to reach out to us as well.
Yeah, sounds good. And what I'll do is I'll bring up a little pop-up on people's screens. If they do want to book in a consultation with one of our Microkeeper consultants, they can book that now. If they just click the button that says book now, they'll be able to directly book a time in your calendars. One of our consultants, and if you're lucky, that link might even link directly to John, so you might speak with him directly. We spoke about cost earlier as well, and it might be good as one of the first questions, because I think it's definitely a big selling point for Microkeeper. It's bringing that cost down. Can you tell us, just because I think we want to be open about this, at what cost does that whole process come? How much does it cost to implement Microkeeper or to get it going?
Yeah, really good question. So basically with Microkeeper, there is a subscription fee. So depending upon which way you go, most commonly people go with our standard package, which is $4 per employee per month, which includes everything that I've spoken about today. If you do move through and want to use our facial recognition technology, that is a little more expensive and sits at $6 per employee per month. And it's based on active staff members. Now, Obviously, another thing that Stijn just mentioned was, how much does it cost to get going? It depends upon the business, the size of the business as well, based on, the setup, basically. So it's proportional to the size of the business, of how much that costs. And obviously, we'd be more than happy to discuss that at a point where you're interested in a demo or even just a further consultation, and we can customize a rollout plan. But it really is that entire, let's say, month period where we do your side-by-side payrolls, we're configuring all that back end, and we're training, which was obviously another big takeaway from Aly, that training piece that goes through that entire month. It encompasses all of that, as well as your first month subscription fees are all inclusive in that fee. So yeah, I'd be more than happy to discuss that with anybody of interest.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, and that subscription costs at $4 to $46 per employee per month. That's makes it definitely a way that people can make their business operate in a lean way. So that's great. I've got,
For sure.
I think Aly might be struggling getting her camera back on. Or there
she is.
So ready for
right
some
time.
of the.
Can
Perfect.
I also add something there? If you use Xero, because the payroll is actually outside of the program, you don't actually have to increase your subscription based upon the number of employees. You can pull that right back down and then have Microkeeper outside of that. So that's actually a cost saving in Xero also, because you're not having to report the payroll through Xero. Heads up.
Good pick. Well done.
Because I've done it. That's how I sell it to clients.
Awesome. And I've got a first question come through from Katie or KT. Just wondering what size venue staff numbers is recommended as the minimum for Microkeeper? John, I suppose that's a good question for you.
Yeah. Look, KT, thank you for your question. Really, we have got businesses from as little as a 1 employee business through to obviously businesses that have got multiple thousand staff members. So I suppose size for us isn't really a question. We're absolutely happy to help any business of any size. I've seen literally mum and dad style coffee shops that have got 3 employees, 2 of which are the parents and 1 of which is maybe a child or maybe just someone outside of that. So just wanting to be able to do it easier. And, what we usually see is in a business that is quite small, you wear 17 different hats. You're the barista, you're the payroll officer, you're the everything, you're the head of ordering, you're the chief cook and bottle washer. So streamlining is definitely something that, that can help a lot in these, in a smaller or a micro business, but, we can help businesses of any size.
Yeah, awesome. There is a question from, I'm going to ruin this name, and I know how that feels because my name often gets mangled. So Adwait asked, hello, I had one question with regards to labor costs. As it was mentioned, it tracks daily wages. My question is there a way we can enter our average sales / forecasted sales on daily basis in Microkeeper, and then depending on our budget set for labor, Microkeeper helps us understand how many staff are to be ideally rostered to ensure we do not overspend. So can you put in targets or goals in terms of budgeting?
Yeah. Again, great question. And the answer is yes, absolutely. So in our rostering tool, there is at the bottom what we call basically a budget calculator. So you can come in and you can pop in that, what you think the revenue is going to be for that particular day, or potentially the bookings or whatever it might be. And then you can either look at it as a dollars figure in conjunction or a percentage. So you might say, hey, we want to sit at that 20% payroll to revenue mark, and obviously the system then will not allow you to go over that, and it'll illustrate it in quite a way. So definitely something that can be done, and it is done quite commonly in the hospitality space. Yeah,
great. Awesome question. I don't see any questions coming up on the screen at the moment, but I did have some questions that people asked or sent us rather beforehand. So I'm just going to load those. One of the questions I had here was, what is the difference between Microkeeper and there are names of other providers that
that's okay.
I don't want to name.
Mention.
No,
that. Yeah, it's a good question. The differences between Microkeeper and some of our competitors that we see when businesses come to us, it's usually in what the offering is. So some businesses specifically concentrate on that rostering and timesheet component, whereas Microkeeper, we are doing that rosters, timesheets, payroll. Now, from an outside, you look in and you go, it seems like they all do it. It says they've got award interpretation. Yes, they may have an award interpretation of sorts, but it needs to feed through to a payroll system to actually turn that information into payroll, superannuation, entitlements, etc. So from a subscriptions point of view, ones that we see, in a very primitive way is some people will have a HR suite, they'll have a rostering and timesheet suite, and they'll have a payroll suite. So they'll have 3 suites required to do the job of Microkeeper. Now, I think, yes, there is a cost element there, but I feel like from a point of view of, is that the biggest deal? No, I don't think so. I reckon the biggest deal is, again, Aly touched on it, is the connection, the talking to each other. The systems have to talk, because without that talking, you lose so much of the automation and so much of the benefit. So having a system that does integrate all of those pieces together is where you literally see the biggest advantage.
I do actually have something to add here, because I've obviously used a lot of HR systems in the past. And one of the benefits I've seen with Microkeeper, and we have moved clients across to Microkeeper, is that if we were using competitors, starting with a D, what would happen is because you're processing the timesheets there and they need to get pushed through, some of those rates, if they're not aligned in Xero, you get issues all over the shop and the wrong rates are used, which, as I said before, is really high risk. So taking the whole payroll system through Microkeeper, so that's the one source of truth, is so much better from a payroll processing point of view. And we, as in our bookkeeping division, process thousands of employees each week. It is something that saves us an enormous amount of time, but gives us a lot of confidence in that Microkeeper system. So that, for me, is most probably the biggest reason why I would say take a Microkeeper over another competitor, is just their full suite system.
Yeah, awesome. And that was indeed one with the D that was mentioned in the question. I didn't want to read out. I've got a question for you from Claire, Aly. Do you have any advice in making change management to take easier, getting everyone on board? Obviously, I suppose you deal with businesses where there's multiple people who might not necessarily be too eager to change. How do you deal with those situations?
Do you know what? This could be a whole other topic, to be honest, that I can present on, because this is actually
we can do another webinar.
Cool. This is the major pain point in any move. The biggest thing I can say here is make sure that you communicate openly, effectively, and take people on the journey with you. Don't fear communication. In fact, you should over communicate. So tell them what's coming, get them involved in the journey, take them on every single step of that journey. If there are quick wins, things that will fix some of their pain points really, really quickly, do that first, because then they're engaged in the process. So look, that's change management in the smallest of nutshells, but it really is around communicating effectively and bringing people on the journey with you.
Yeah, I think that's true. John, maybe you've something to add there as well, because I mean, obviously, as a national customer relations manager, you would deal with a lot of businesses. Do you feel that sometimes there is a bit of hesitancy to move to the cloud and move to systems where you earlier touched on, like, why change it if it's not broken?
Yeah, you do. And I think it comes from 2 places. I suppose people become very comfortable. I'm very comfortable in what I'm doing. And I think from a point of view of, let's say, a payroll officer, there's a lot of weight on that person's shoulders. And just as an example, we had a business at Microkeeper come to us. We're doing their payroll. They've got about 400 staff members. And, it's a burden. Like, I don't want to stuff this up. I've got 400 people that are going to come screaming at me if I get this wrong. So that's one big thing that we definitely see. And obviously the whole thing of I need to learn something else. I'm already so time poor as it is with the current way we do things. And now you're going to throw in learn something else, and I could make mistakes, and I'm going to get yelled at. It's kind of like that blanket. You know, I really am happy under this blanket. I'm nice and warm. I don't want to go and get myself a glass of water when I'm in bed at night. So you just sit there and you stay awake, and you sit there until you're really, really thirsty, and then you run and go get it. And I think it's that same scenario. It's kind of that rip the Band-Aid off. You know, once they're then involved and they go, well, we've had someone sit with us, we've had someone do that entire process with us and be our backstop. I can now see how much of an advantage it is. But definitely, you know, building that confidence, making sure that everyone is on board. And I think that's a big one, is making sure everybody's on board. It's not just a one person going, this is what you're doing, bad luck. It's bringing everybody into the conversation, make sure everybody has a common goal, that this is what we're doing and this is why we're doing it. We've found is probably a massive hurdle to cross. And once everybody is on that page, feels involved, feels that their job is secure, because, you know, if I'm going to pull, you know, a payroll officer's time that could have been 5 days worth of payroll down to half a day or half an hour, what am I going to do? Well, no, it's fine. Your job's not going anywhere. We're going to repurpose it. You can do this, you can do that, you can do the other. You know, so that's fine. And making sure that everyone is on board is a big step in the right direction.
Very awesome. There's one more question rather from Adwait. And I think I could maybe open that up to both of you as well. It's in regards to having a way that you basically can see where your staff is up to. So he says, as we all know, how difficult it is to hire staff when someone resigns, and then being in hospitality, we're always short on staff, especially when we're having multiple venues. It becomes too difficult for HR to keep on tap on every venue to see if they're well staffed. Is there a way in Microkeeper that you can keep on tap if people have resigned and if there is a staff shortage anywhere? John, you probably will know that from a Microkeeper point of view, and Aly, I'll open it up to you later and see if maybe you've got any thoughts on that if it's not a Microkeeper thing.
Yeah, for sure. Look, with Microkeeper, we do have a number of flags. So obviously, if you're rostering forward, which is very common in hospitality, we flag as soon as someone's removed from the roster, we flag it really bold in red. So, you know, a very, very quick, okay, I need to change this person out of the roster to actually do my day-to-day. But from a point of view of, let's see if we're going to, you know, it's kind of the old, you know, I've got 6 shifts to fill and I've got 4 staff members to do it. Can I actually do this? We have a simulation tool. So basically what that simulation tool does, and if I speak actually about one of our clients, they actually had a scenario where they had it was actually the Commonwealth Games. They had 54,000 shifts. They had about 6,000 staff. And can we make this work? So this simulation tool, basically what it does is it goes, hey, let's put as many people into the shifts as possible, evenly distribute it, consider if they can work here, there, and everywhere, or whatever those situations are, and then give us back a review. So it might say 98% of these shifts can be fulfilled, and that's because we don't have enough staff, or it's 100% can be fulfilled. So definitely we have tools in the background that can help you in making these decisions, and obviously help in detecting if you are going to have a shortage of staff. What you're talking about with multiple venues as well, obviously if they are within a region and you can share staff, that's something you can also do with Microkeeper. We can share staff amongst locations if required to do that as well. So hopefully that sort of answered your question.
Yeah, I don't know, Aly. I don't know.
I don't think I've got anything to add there. It sounds like John's got that covered.
That's good. Awesome. That's kind of it, I think, from the chat, unless there's anyone else with some last questions. I think we're also nearing the end of our time anyway. But I want to thank you so much, both of you, John and Aly, for being here. It's been, I think, very valuable. I'm just going to do a quick poll to see, and I won't share the results, but I hope this was
share them if it's good. No.
Yeah, this was valuable to people. But just a little NPS score of how we've done. If you have some feedback, it's always greatly appreciated, because then we will see how we can improve things in future as well. So like Aly said, and I might actually go back to that. We can see you on the socials. You can reach out to us. With us, it's at Microkeeper. It's really easy. That's kind of everywhere. It's on Facebook. It's on Instagram. It's on Twitter. It's on LinkedIn. And I'll just go back to Aly's slide where you've got all the information of where you can get in touch with Aly. On Twitter, I would definitely follow her. It's always good fun, good banter
you
there.
You get to see a different side on Twitter.
That's it. No, it's good. It's good. It's good fun there. And from what I can see, I mean, the reviews are off the charts. We have most people scoring us 10 out of 10 today. So if I had that in high school, I would have been my parents would have been very happy.
It's a report card you'll take home.
That's it. I will. I'll take that. Awesome. I might add with a last quick thing. I see Electra also says thank you. She's got some nice sound bites from us. Comfortable under the blanket. Yeah, that was a good one. Also like that you said getting a glass of water. There's other things that I put off when I'm under that blanket that might not be so good to mention right now. I might end rather with a little video of one of our clients that uses Microkeeper in a setting with three venues, kind of restaurants where they use us. I'll end with that. I'll load that up. But for now, I'll just say thank you to you guys. If there's anything, last few words that you want to add before I start playing that, I'll hand over to you. Aly, maybe I'll give it to you for any last thoughts or question or things you want to mention.
No, just thanks for having me on. Hopefully I've been able to add some value to everybody. More than happy to speak with anybody that's been on this webinar if you have any more questions or need some help in getting some clients converted. And absolutely, the guys at Microkeeper have been amazing. I work with them. They've solved a pain point in our business, in our bookkeeping. So I could definitely highly recommend.
Perfect. That's great to hear. John, any last thoughts from you?
No, I think thanks so much, everyone, for sharing and being a part of this webinar. And obviously, thank you, Stijn, for hosting, and Aly, amazing. Like, absolutely, it's amazing when you hear someone who's so passionate, but as well is on the exact same page as all of us here as well. It's fantastic. So thank you, and we think you guys do an amazing job also. So thanks so much for being a part.
Thanks,
Awesome.
everyone.
Well, we'll catch you next time on another webinar. So if you do want to keep posted on the webinars that we host at Microkeeper, just join us anywhere on the socials. And that's it for now. And we'll end off with this little video of our clients at a Chichester restaurant.
My name's Marty Chichester, and I'm the proprietor of Chichester Restaurants at Oakdean Vineyards. Life before Microkeeper wasn't even a whiteboard on the wall. It was a A4 piece of paper. With the old system, there was just no way that you could work out what people were doing unless there was a conversation. Every employee's got access to all their information, and I've got access to what their requests are. It comes straight through to my emails. When I bring up the Microkeeper weekly roster, it tells me who's not available. It tells me who wants to be rostered on different days. We can look at the bookings and we can say, oh, we've only got 3 rostered on for Monday. We've got 140 bookings that have come in the last few days. Let's roster somebody else on. So we send a notification out on Microkeeper and, solves the problem without us spending half an hour, 3/4 of an hour on the phone trying to get a hold of people.
Microkeeper I use to do the rostering for all the staff and also approving timesheets at the end of the week. I'm now the operations manager at Oakdean. It tallies up all the hours for us, and it also tells me when staff are available or not available. So I can look at when they've been rostered on and then the timesheet that they've actually either entered or not entered, and if it's not there, I can just add it in really, really fast.
My name's Robin. I'm the General Manager / Payroll Officer. So we've gone through a couple of different payroll systems, and we just found we couldn't manage on the systems we were using. It was taking at least half a day minimum to do payroll. Now it takes about an hour. It's really, really quick, and it's really fast to manage. So we use it for every employee clocking on, clocking off, or fingerprinting on and off. It's really easy to enter new employees into the system, for all the employees to update their information. It's a great time saver. And particularly for me with the 3 venues is just that costing factor of being able to split out the costs of all the wages into its various departments. It's a great system. It's an easy system to use, definitely user-friendly, and save you heaps of time, and you'll become more efficient, and you'll be able to understand the costs of your payroll much more effectively.